Okay, now that you've got some of the intuition on present value down, here are a couple of problems you can work through to develop your intuition a little bit further. As I always say, the best way to learn this stuff is to do practice problems, so here's your chance. This is the first of two problems to help you understand the relationship between present value and the interest rate. What happens to the price of a bond if interest rates rise? To review, a bond is simply a promise to pay a fixed amount at a fixed date in the future. It's basically an IOU. Okay, now hit pause, think of your answer and an explanation, and then hit play when you're ready to see the answer. Seriously, hit pause and don't hit play again until you've thought of your own answer. Bond prices fall when interest rates rise. And we can see this in the formula for present value. With a bond, the present value is the price, and the future value is the payment that the bond promises at some date in the future. And so we essentially discount that future payment by a rate that depends on the interest rate we require and the number of years until that payment occurs. So if interest rates rise, that means the denominator goes up, which means this quantity falls. So in general, bond prices and interest rates move in opposite directions. That's just a mathematical fact that you can see through this equation. Now, intuitively, the reason that bond prices fall when interest rates rise is that the payment you receive in the future is fixed. So if you need a higher rate of return on a bond, a higher interest rate, the only way to get it is to pay a lower price. This one should be easy if the last one made sense, or if you eventually figured out the intuition on the last one. What happened to interest rates if bond prices went up? Hit pause, think of your answer and an explanation, and then hit play when you're ready to hear it. Okay, using our trusty formula, we can see that if this quantity went up, then the right-hand side of this equation must have gone up as well. And again, since bonds promise to pay a fixed payment in the future, this FV guy, the payment that occurs in the future, doesn't change. So the only thing that can change, also N doesn't change either unless time goes by. So the only thing that could change at a point in time is the interest rate. So if bond prices went up, the only way for that to happen is if the denominator falls, and that's only possible if the interest rate falls. So bond prices rising, interest rates falling are one and the same. Now we're going to try a problem with some actual numbers. What is the interest rate on a $1,000 face value bond with 3 years to maturity that is currently selling for $900? Another way of asking this question is, if the bond price is $900 and will pay us $1,000 in 3 years, what interest rate will we earn if we buy the bond? Hit pause, try it for yourself, and hit play when you're ready to see the answer. So essentially we have to set up an equation and then solve it. What we have is price equal to $900, and that's the present value, will be equal to the future value, $1,000, divided by 1 plus I to the third, where 3 is the number of years until we receive this payment. Rearranging a bit, we have 1 plus I to the third power is equal to 1,000 divided by 900. Now, to get rid of this little exponent guy, remember we're trying to solve for I, what we're going to do is take the third root of each side. It's essentially the same thing as raising both sides to the power 1/3. So let's clean this up a little bit. What we have now is that 1 plus I is equal to 10 over 9 raised to the power 1/3, which, if you have a calculator, you can show this for yourself, is approximately equal to 1.035. In other words, the interest rate is approximately 3.5%. Let's try one more. A friend wants to borrow $10,000 for 3 years to start a restaurant. You figure that since restaurants are risky and you might not get paid back, you'll require a 10% rate of return. How much will your friend owe you in 3 years? First of all, I do not recommend lending a friend $10,000 for any reason. But for the sake of argument, let's suppose you have a really good relationship with your friend and you don't foresee that collecting your loan in 3 years will cause any problems with the friendship. So how much will your friend owe you in 3 years if you require a 10% interest rate? You know I'm going to say it. Hit pause, compute the answer, and hit play when you're ready to see it. The answer is $13,310. And how I got this is pretty straightforward. We simply take the present value, which in this case is $10,000. That's the amount of cash that we expect to flow at present. We need to earn an interest rate of 10% per year for 3 years. And if you do this calculation, that'll give you the future value, which again turns out to be $13,310. Hopefully your friend's restaurant was successful and it'll be no problem paying you this money back. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. That's it for the simple questions. If you're ready for more, I have a video with some intermediate present value questions that'll challenge you a little bit further.